Hello, welcome back. So I'm not a financial advisor, it's not financial advice. I'll try and make a quick video and see where we are with some of these coins, mainly Matic. I'll look at one and some others, and Bitcoin of course. So just very briefly, so Bitcoin still got this descending trend line, wiggling around at finding the support on this green 50 EMA. That's where we seem to be trending around that area and bouncing from the 50 moving average. So interesting one there. So we've got the green 50 exponential and the green 50 simple, and we're being wedged in between the two. Now it looks like we do want to break down from this, and to be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me if we do. And where we're going to go from here, we're going to be somewhere in amongst this wick here, whether it be 11,200 or lower before we find another bounce. If we find a wick that's deeper than this one, then we're probably likely to come back down, probably to test around these areas here, these this white 200 EMA or this yellow simple 200. That's pretty much all I've got to go by on this one at the moment. It looks like it's sort of tiring now and from its downtrend, and probably would have one more push down before it changes its trajectory, and then probably makes its way all the way back up to test this area and maybe break it, but we'll have to see where it goes from there. So just to recap on this one, I expect it to come back down again, sort of meet somewhere within this wick area. If it's deeper than this wick, then lower, down towards this area. If it's higher, then we're definitely looking for a bounce back up to this area within, I'd probably say by the end of the week we'll be back up here testing this area, and maybe on this occasion we might break it, but it depends on a few things. So short term down to a little side anyway, and see where we bounce. Right, so interesting events taking place here with the Matic chart. If you watched my last few videos, we've been waiting for this golden cross to happen, and it appears that overnight it's actually happened. So we do now have a golden cross on the 4-hourly chart. So I'll have to stress that it's a 4-hourly chart, which is the lowest time frame that any kind of golden cross has any kind of relevance. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that anything amazing is going to happen. The reason I'm a little reserved on it is because this whole move here was driven off the back of news, and I don't like to trade news, but sometimes you have to. It'd be rude not to. So this was all on the back of Coinbase's announcement that Matic was being considered for a listing on Coinbase. So that naturally rose the price and had a huge sell-off when it hit this resistance here at 2 cents. We're climbing our way back up again, and it was this climb back up which is actually sort of caused this golden cross. So that pump and dump would have been expected. This is now an attempt to try and get back up to our previous resistance, and in doing so it's created this golden cross. So the golden cross, we've got two essentially. We've got the 50, this green 50 going over this white 200, they're both exponential moving averages. We've also got this purple 50 simple going above this yellow, this big thick yellow 200 simple. So we've got essentially both kind of golden crosses that you could imagine to happen. So they have happened now on the tether value, and if we have a look on the Bitcoin, they haven't happened, but we look like we may be about to receive a golden cross when it comes to simples. We've still got a bit further to go when it comes to exponentials. So in layman's terms, there has been a golden cross on the tether value, and there's likely, if we continue like this and Bitcoin perhaps goes a little further down, there's likely to be a golden cross on the Bitcoin Matic pair. So technically, as it's happened now, we should be seeing some more movement to the up, and this doesn't mean that it's going to shoot right up. What it signifies is a change in trend for a sort of mid-term change in direction. So we should start to see more moves now going up at this point. But like I say, I'm slightly wary about it for the simple reason that this was driven off the back of news. So any bad news could have an opposite effect, creating essentially another death cross. And also, it's a very, 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 very young chart, and because of that, it's not had any opportunity to have any form of cycle. So this is a 4-hourly that we're going by, and like I say, 4-hourlies are the very smallest time frame you would ever expect to see some kind of golden cross. Ideally, the longer the time frame is better. A daily would be perfect, but we don't have these exponentials, these 200 exponentials on the daily. because it's such a small sort of young coin. So just to recap on some of these other coins, then we'll just see how we are when it comes to getting close to having any kind of golden cross on these. Generally the major alts aren't anywhere near quite yet. They still have a big fair pump to go. We look at Celr. Celr, even though it's been pumping, it's not looking too great. There's no golden cross in sight. We look at the tether pairing. It's slightly better, but no golden cross in sight. You can see these exponentials are sloping down, and actually these exponential 50 and the 50 simple are kind of also moving down and sideways. So it's going to take a fair bit more pumping to initiate a golden cross on Celr. One has been moving very well actually, following exactly the same news that Matic had, but still no golden cross in sight. We've got this green, we've got this purple, they're the 50 simple and the 50 exponential. We've got the yellow 200 simple and the white 200 exponential. Still no cross in sight for that on the tether pairing, and again we're not going to be seeing that on Bitcoin because it's a harder one to achieve. Now Link of course did very well and has done very well, but look, if we can see here, we had the death cross back here, we had the 50s exponential, both exponential and simple. There's the simple crossing there, there's the exponential crossing there, and there's our downsides here, and continue with our downside. Now it has been pumping a little bit, but not enough to actually not even bend this purple. You see this skinny little purple 50 simple, that's still actually facing down, so no golden cross in sight there either. And if we look on the tether pairing, it should look a little better. Yep, it is looking a little better. So perhaps maybe a golden cross maybe in sight if Link was able to pump a little more than this, or stay static and let these things start to converge and then pump a little bit. So, but still no golden cross in sight. So you can see how special the Matic chart really is, and how much it's managed to achieve in such a small amount of time as a result of this Coinbase announcement. And like I say, if this happened over a smaller period of time, let's just say we weren't consolidating so heavily, and we evened out and sort of started to trend literally sideways, and then we managed to get a golden cross out of that, I would feel a lot better than this. At the moment, it's still good news because, you know, TA would say that you've got a golden cross, but be slightly wary that this big move was caused out of good news, and it's only reasonable to assume that bad news could cause the exact same kind of move, but the opposite trend. So we'll just have to wait and see. This coin doesn't really like to play with the normal rules. It's largely driven by hype and FOMO, even though it's a great project and probably, I'd probably say almost certainly will have a bright future. But you know, when we're looking at a chart like this, you really have to be reactive to the market. And as much as I like to say that this golden cross is definitely going to do something, the chances are it should do something. There's no reason why it wouldn't, because that is what this signal signifies. It's a bullish signal, without question. But at the same time, you know, it was caused out of essentially a FOMO move. So, you know, reserve a little bit of judgment for you there. Anyway, like I say, I'm not your financial advisor. Please do your own research and trade carefully with something like Matic, because it moves up very well and it also moves down very well. So just be careful with it. Anyway, I hope you all have a lovely day. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and yeah, take it easy.